Here we are again with Sanctuary of Reality, my comic review series. Before we get into this episode's issue of Cerebus, it's back to the Cerebus Not the World Tour book 1995 to witness this next tale, which is titled, rather aptly, What Happened Between Issues 20 and 21? Cerebus, still unconscious, is stolen from the Cerebus by a man called Gavan, intending to sell him to another man named Strangus, who then betrays him when he thinks he's going to sell him to someone else. In this confusion, Cerebus wanders off in a daze. He ends up in a tavern, which only reactivates the drugs in his system and puts him right back into a deep coma. Outside the tavern, he's found by a pair of men who sell him to a freak show. For 2 weeks, it tours various towns, until Cerebus is recognized by Bryn Kael, who buys him from the show's owner and proceeds to sell him to another man known as Sir Garrick. What devious plot does Sir Garrick have in store for Cerebus? The whole point of this particular little story is retroactive exposition. It was apparently done well after issue 21, and Dave had intended for there to be a gap between 20 and 21 as part of the story for 21. So retroactively, he went back and did this tale to explain what happened. It's just a strange tale. It's both pointless and important at the same time, because there's an increase in continuity in the book at the time, so the gap between 20 and 21 does stick out if you're really paying close attention and you really care about what's going on with the book as you read it. Still, it's an interesting enough story, and the artwork collaboration between Dave and his mentor slash friend Gene Day is really a nice change of pace. A really good style the two of them had together. So yeah, it's recommended. Yeah, I think you should check this out, especially if you're reading the book and you're for the first time and you get to issue 20 and you're like, hey, I want to know what happens to Cerebus next. There you go. Here's exactly what happened to Cerebus next. The story is most notable for introducing a character I didn't mention during the summary, her name being Astoria. She'll be back in high society. And it's also notable to a lesser degree for being the one and only appearance of Sir Garrick, who will be mentioned a lot later on, or a few times later on. This is his only appearance, yet, I still think there's a story there with him. And some fans agree, I believe. Now for the main course, Cerebus, issue 21, Captain Cockroach. Cerebus wakes up at last, no longer in Togoth, but in snowy Bedouin. He's desperate to get back to Flurok, but soon discovers something amiss in the city he's in. The Cockroach and Elrod are going door to door in costume as Captain Cockroach and Bunky the albino. They're selling war bonds to fund the battle against the Siphons, who are now referred to as the Siffies. Curious, Cerebus meets with the intended president of Lower Felda, President Weishaupt, who fills in what happened to the Roach and Elrod since their last appearances in issue 12. With the help of the duo, Weishaupt has become a millionaire several times over. He explains how he rose to power and what he hopes to gain in the role of president and all the machinations with the war with the Siffies and the war bonds. Cerebus is thanked by the president for his role in making all this possible, and he aids him in obtaining papers to exit the city. Captain Cockroach and Bunky escort Cerebus to the gates, when suddenly a Siphon Sophi assassin attacks. Can Cerebus and the bumbling duo survive this assault, especially when Cerebus keeps drifting between being drunk and being sober? President Weishaupt is based on real-life historical figure Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Illuminati, and who some conspiracy theorists believe took George Washington's place as the first president of the United States. That explains his look in this issue. Captain Cockroach and Bunky are, of course, parodies of Captain America and Bucky. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Those guys have been around forever. Well, not Bucky. But anyway, This is a really fun issue. Roach has gone from being a Batman pastiche to Captain America parody seamlessly, and such changes will define the character as the book continues. Elrod and Roach as a partnership works tremendously. They play off each other so very well. Weishaupt brings another level of political intrigue to the book, so very different from that of Lord Julius. The balance of the comedy with the plot continues to be impressive, and that's one of the things the book will do great for years to come, is balancing comedy with plot. Next time, Elrod dies. Not a hoax, not an imaginary story.